I just wanted to make a video uh, about God's promises. If you've ever uh, been promised something from God, it'll probably happen. And that's what I've um, relearned at church because uh, I was promised something from God that would happen, but it's been so long, that I lost hope. You know what I mean? I have. It's been that long that I've lost hope, in God to fulfill this promise. I'm serious, and I'm just like, just get me out of here. you know, it's been that bad, like that long. I'm like, because uh, the first time God promised me something I knew was from God, it happened. So, but the second thing I was promised would happen, it hasn't happened in like 10 years. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this ain't ever gonna happen. And I'm like, God, it's okay. It's okay. You know, you don't have to keep me around to fulfill your promise. You don't have to keep me around. It's okay. You know, from one friend to another, it's okay. You don't have to fulfill this promise to me. You know, I'm getting old. I'm an old man now. Sorry, I'm kind of tired. I didn't sleep last night. My sleep hasn't been the greatest, but because I've been sick. But anyways, so that's what I learned in church. Another thing I learned is like I don't really, I don't really fit in with the Christians. You know, that much is obvious. I know that, but I don't fit in with anybody really. So, but despite that, God still knows who I am. Doesn't matter if I can't fit in anywhere. God still knows who I am. So, just like shit. But anyways, but yeah, God knows like I've lost hope in Him, and I know that message is probably for me. To say, oh, just be patient. It'll happen eventually. It doesn't matter how long it takes, even if it takes 20 more years to happen from now. Even if it takes 20 more years to happen from now, it'll happen because God promised it. I'm like, I don't even want to hang around that long for it to happen. That's where I'm at. I'm being serious. I didn't know His promise was going to take this long. So, just like, you know, my body hurts. Get me out of here. I'm in pain every day. It's not worth it. I admit that. But anyways. But anyways, God cannot lie. That's what I keep getting reminded. Sometimes I don't believe that for some reason. Just like, you know, I'm in a weird position. I could make God lie. If it doesn't happen, I can make God lie to me. If I can make this promise not happen, I can make God lie to me. A liar, basically. I could. I thought about that. Like, anyways, uh, based on most of my life, I never really cared to ask God for anything. Besides, get me out of pain, and He couldn't even do that. So, I mean, if He can't even get me out of pain, how is He going to fulfill any other promises? You know what I mean? That's what I thought about. I'm like, if He can't even get me out of pain, physical pain, how is He going to fulfill any other promise? He can't even do what I asked Him in my 20s. Yeah, that's what I thought about as well. Yeah. So I think about that kind of thing. I'm like, has God ever got me out of pain like I wanted? No, He hasn't. So I'm like, shit. So how am I supposed to know He's going to fulfill this other promise, that I didn't even ask Him for? You know, I feel like it's just like bait on a hook for me to stay alive, basically. Oh, God will fulfill his promise, but he hasn't yet, but he will. So keep hanging on, for another 10, 20 years, and he'll fulfill his promise, When you're on death's door, the natural way, he'll fulfill his promise to you. Goddamn. But he knows at this point I've lost faith in that promise. He knows I have. To the point I'm like, just get me out of here. It's okay. It's okay, God. It's okay to fail sometimes, God. It's okay to be a failure sometimes. I fail too. Yeah. I've been a failure most of my life. Yeah. It's okay to be a failure. Yeah. Jesus almost failed as well. Yeah. He almost failed as well. Take this cup from me. Like I said before. He almost failed too. So, anyways, enough about that. I know I brought that up enough, but God just knows I'm looking for an excuse to get out of here. Any excuse at this point. I'm just like, it's okay, God. It's okay to fail. It's okay. I know what it's like to fail, God. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to not be able to fulfill promises. I do. Yes, I do. Not to be the one that can be everything to everybody. I know what it's like to not be that. That's kind of what I've been doing. Like, it's okay. No hard feelings. Yeah. No hard feelings, God. So, anyways. But I don't know. I can see why people don't go to church. I can see why they don't. It's hard to have faith, like all the time. You know, God promises you something, it doesn't happen in a decade. It's hard to have faith still after that. That's where I'm at. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, you cheated the laws of physics to keep me alive anyways. I shouldn't be alive anyways. Everybody knows you cheated the laws of physics to just keep me alive. Through whatever Jesus did, you cheated the laws of physics and nature to keep me alive. Through whatever Jesus did. Literally, whatever Jesus did, cheated the laws of physics. It's not fair to nature to keep me alive. Like, God knows I shouldn't be alive. I know shouldn't be alive. Everyone knows I shouldn't be alive. Yet here I am. It's like, what the hell's going on? How is this possible? Someone walking around that shouldn't be alive. That's how it is right now. But anyways, God knows I've lost faith. Totally. Yeah, God may keep his promise, but by the time it happens, I won't care about it. I'm serious. By the time it happens, I won't care about it. I won't. So, but I only have myself to blame, really. At the same time, I don't know if I do have myself to blame either. Because a lot of things happened that I didn't have control over in my life. So I was sitting next to a kid in church today. Not to change the subject, but I'm like, I'm sorry, kid, that you have to sit through this. I'm sorry, kid. It's like looking at my younger self next to me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know what it's like to sit through church and not like it and not even want to be here. I know what it's like. I'm like saying to this kid in my head, I'm like, I'm sorry, kid, you have to sit through this like I had to my whole life. But, so I felt for the kid next to me. Had no choice in the matter. I know what it's like to have to be forced to go to church. You don't even understand church. You don't even understand all the religious jargon. You're forced to go to church. I know what that's like. You're just like, what the fuck's going on here? That was like my whole life. Just like, what the hell's going on here? I don't even get all this. Why am I here? Why do we keep coming to this building over and over? I don't get it. Yeah. So I felt for the kid next to me is what I'm saying. Like, I saw a younger me. I'm like, I feel for you, kid. You'd rather be home playing video games. I know. I know you would. So would I. Me too. Rather than be here, hoping that God will fulfill a promise for me. I'd rather be home playing video games. Swear to God, I have more chance of having a good time and a fulfilled promise of having a good time if I stayed home and played video games, even at my age. And God knows it. It's like, that's how lack of faith I have. I'm like, I have more faith in a video game to fulfill a promise to me than God. That's what I just realized just now. I have more faith in a video game, something that's not even real, to fulfill a promise to me. At least at the end of the video game, I know there's an end. That's a guaranteed promise. Guaranteed promise to the end of the video game. Yeah. Now that's a promise. I play a video game, I know it has an end. That's a promise. And it's a quick promise, not a 10-year promise, that God gives. You know what I'm saying? So I felt for the kid that was sitting next to me. I'm like, could have been an INFJ kid, who knows, in the making, with narcissist parents and going to church. Could have been, could have been seeing myself in another format, You know what I'm saying? Like getting flashbacks. But I felt for the kid. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I know what it's like, kid, to sit in church and not know what the hell what's going on. What's all this weirdness about? I know what it's like. So don't feel bad, kid. So I sympathize with him. I'm like, I know what it's like. That's all I'm saying. To sit around, get your head beat over the head week after week at church, no matter what church you go to, get your head beat over the head, and you're never good enough. You always gotta try harder, and you gotta work harder, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing over. It's never build you up. It's always tear you down. Never enough. Never enough. Never enough. That's what I've learned. I'm just like, God damn, it's the same thing in every operation. Christianity, even. It's like, is it always the same? Is it always the same? And it's always just about the money in the end, Maybe. Who knows? Like I said, the fact that Jesus is legit kind of changes things. Like, if he wasn't, like, churches would just be empty vessels. Meaningless. Yeah. But, anyways. So, yeah. I was promised something from God, a long time ago. That's what I'm trying to say. A long, long time ago. And that's one of many reasons I've kind of just lost steam, kind of just given up. I'm like, this ain't ever gonna happen, you know. And if it does, I'll just be an old man anyways. You know what I mean? I'll just be an old man anyways, and like, who wants to just be in pain and be an old man? By himself, a loner still. I mean, I'd rather be nailed to a cross right now. Just finish it. But that's another thing that was funny. Is like, when he was describing Jesus on the cross, like, he was getting really, this pastor was getting really descriptive, and it was like I was feeling it myself. I was. I'm like, God damn. I'm like feeling it, you know. I'm like feeling what I feel like I'm feeling what Jesus felt more so than before, like on the cross though, not when he was suffering before the cross, because I kind of know that how he felt a little bit, but like on the cross, I'm starting to feel it. I am like shit. I swear that's crazy. So I feel like uh you know when said it suffered when they say he suffered for me specifically, that probably was real. At this point, I can say that. Yeah. When I was a kid, I couldn't say that. I'm like, yeah, Jesus didn't suffer for me. He doesn't even know who I am. When I was a kid, I could have said that easily. I'm like, yeah, Jesus doesn't know who I am. He didn't suffer for me at all. He doesn't even know who I am. If he knew who I was, like he'd yeah, protect me and stuff. If he knew who I was. Since he didn't do any of that, he doesn't know who I am. He's in a galaxy far, far away. You know, like in Star Wars. Jesus in a galaxy far, far away, somewhere else, building the galaxy of his own. While I'm sitting at home playing video games, basically. My life story. Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Just I kind of figured God couldn't fulfill promise. I kind of figured he couldn't, not quickly. Just like this is what I think about. Anybody could fulfill a promise if they were given like 30, 40 years to fulfill the promise. Like anybody could. I could fulfill a promise if I was given 30, 40 years to do it. Like if I promised, you know, I don't know. For example, like if I promised someone down the street when they got older, this is just an example. When they got older, and they got about to 25 years old, um, I could promise them that I will give them $25, basically, once they hit that age. From age 3, I could promise them, once you hit age 25, I'll give you $25. I could fulfill that promise. See how much time I have to prepare for that promise? That's what God's doing with me. I'm like, anybody can fulfill a promise if they're given like 20, 30 years. You know, like, goddamn. Yeah. But part of me's like, do I really want to keep going? And like, maybe this promise will happen, soon or not. If it doesn't, then I'm like, shit, I could be waiting a long time for God to fulfill a promise. You know, God knows I'd rather just check out than wait on Him more, any longer than how long I've waited. You know, the pain and suffering I've had to go to endure to get to this point for not a promise. I'm like, what the? I'm like, this ain't worth it. At least I don't think so. Maybe God sees it as worth it, but I don't. Like I said, God's trying to like lure me with bait, a promise to keep me alive. He is to keep me alive on the planet longer than I've wanted to be here. That's what He's doing. So he's planted this promise in front of me that hasn't happened to lure me to keep staying alive. No bullshit. To keep staying alive, keep going forward, keep staying alive because this promise hasn't happened. And God doesn't lie. So I'm like, shit. Gotta keep going. Promise didn't happen anyways, like. But like I said, time doesn't exist for God, and it doesn't exist for me either. We could keep going round and round and round till the promise happens. Eventually, we can keep going round and round and round and round until the promise eventually happens. That's what I realized, because time doesn't exist for me and God. It may exist for other people, you know, like like time is weird for me and God knows it. Time, I don't see time the same as everybody else. Not even close. Like, I'm in the now, right now. That's my time. I'm in the now, right now. That's my time. No bullshit. That's why I have to wear a watch and stuff for other people. I'm like, oh shit, they have to meet me at this time. You know what I mean? That's no bullshit. Other people are surrendered to the clock. You know what I mean? But God knows time has never existed for me. Never. Ever. So having to adapt to other people that are, uh, submitted to the clock, basically, has been a challenge in my life, for sure. But anyways, that's what I thought about. I could keep going round and round for decades until this promise happens. Just round and round, like I've been doing, until God fulfills his promise. Eventually, just keep staying alive till God fulfills his promise. That's what I realized. God damn it. So God can cheat time to fulfill a promise, basically, because there is no time for God. He can cheat it. Just like, oh, it'll happen in 30 years from now, but in God's time, it's like a second. So time doesn't exist. But I think that's how it is for babies that are first born into the world. Time doesn't exist for them either. But that's never really changed since I was a baby. Time's never existed ever for me. Never. I've always been in the now. No bullshit. That's why I get stuck in the past, because my brain can't separate the difference, between present, past, because I've experienced so many things, in the now, throughout my life. It's been a trip. But I'm sure God knows my brain works like that. You know what I mean? That time doesn't really exist. And I thought about this. I'm sure Jesus was the same way. Time didn't exist for Jesus at all. Not at all. He was always in the now. I know he was. At least I assume so. He was just always in the present throughout his life. But anyways, I can kind of see how, this is another thing I thought about. I can kind of see how churches are going wrong, and they kind of just treat people like items in a factory, basically. Because I know God doesn't see people as items in a factory, just churn them out, week after week, beat them over the head, till they're giving their money away, kind of see the pattern, because I see patterns. So I don't know, because it's always bothered me the way churches do things, always, to kind of guilt people, manipulate, to squeeze the money out of them, week after week, it's always bothered me. God knows that's always bothered me, how they drain people dry, like, of money. It's over and over, just guilt, fear, to have them give their money away, basically. But I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it all wrong. I don't know. But that's how I always thought. Like, because in the cult I grew up, they always put fear in you if you didn't pay tithing. Like you're gonna burn. That's some fear right there. You're gonna burn. God damn it, you're gonna burn forever in eternal hell if you don't give this paper stuff to the church. This money, paper stuff. You're gonna burn in hell if you don't. That kind of shit. I've never been a fan of that ever. God knows that. Just like, is this really what it's all about? There's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be more to this world than this. And I think Jesus knew that. There's more to this world than just this box of what religion is. That's what I always thought too. There's got to be more to the world. Jesus didn't just sit in a church all day. He roamed around. Kind of like me. But anyways, That's all I want to say for this video, I guess. But God's promise will happen because He doesn't lie. That's the point of this. It will happen eventually, even if it takes, that's what He's saying. Is take patience, even if it takes a long time. It'll happen. My goddamn. All right. So, anyways, that's all I want to say.